In honor of the date, we figured we may as well talk about the new CBA and the weed. More importantly, how it affects Holton Hill, because again, we don't care about weed. Do whatever you want. It's a friggin' plant. But also how it affects your availability and your ability on the field matters. Right? Because even though it's a dumb rule, it is still a rule. Like if the NFL had a rule that said, hey, you will be fined and or suspended if you ate cauliflower. Bitch, you better not eat any cauliflower up in here. Right? But even though suspensions are not off the table, de facto financial suspensions are still there and present. So we'll get into that in a sec. And like we said, this is important because of super talented cornerback Holton Hill. Right? Suspended multiple times and eventually kicked off at Texas, which is hard to do, and then went undrafted, even though he's probably a day 2 talent. Suspended 8 games last year, 4 for substance and 4 for PEDs. But now with the cornerback exodus with the Vikings, they're going to have to rely on him. So hopefully he will be there and not suspended, right? But like we said, positive news for him, no more marijuana suspensions. It is all fines, like straight cash, homie, right? Oh, by the way, under the old CBA, you had to fail 4 tests to get a suspension. 4. So Holton Hill, theoretically, well, not theoretically, he did fail at least 4 tests, which is just wonderful. But the fines are still really damn substantial. So first infraction is half of a game check, half of a week's game check. So that's pretty substantial, right? And now if you're a habitual line stepper, that could go all the way up to 3 weeks of game checks, which is a damn sizable chunk. That's almost a fifth of the season. So even though it's not a suspension per se, I mean, you do have to think about psychologically. I mean, that hurts my pocketbook, right? Fine is a fine is a fine. But when we're talking about like full game checks, that is rough, right? We're not talking about a $10,000 late hit fine for a linebacker who's making $7 million a year. We're talking about legit percentages of a player's salary, right? So how dialed in are they going to be? How focused will they be playing for free when they are playing for free, right? So that's sort of the de facto suspension, right? So for guys like Holton Hill, also, I mean, financially, he's on a UDFA contract. He missed half a season of game checks last year due to suspension. So under these new CBA rules, I mean, if he gets popped again, that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And, time, the also thing that has changed is time frame for the test. Now, before, I mean, if you got popped before, you're just dumb. But you were tested once during the offseason between 4/20, and August. That was it. That was the whole testing window. During the season, as long as you tested clean that summer, you were in the clear. You could, unless you were in the program, and then you'd be tested multiple times. Hence, that's why Holton had multiple failed tests, right? So now they change it. So instead of those 4 months or so, it is 2 weeks. It is 2 weeks during training camp. So you, just like before, you literally know exactly when the tests are, and now it is a much more truncated testing window. So during training camp, so you just have to not partake for like a week out, or at least don't do the whole cranberry juice thing, because you may get diluted samples. They'll still get you for that, right? But also, here's the kicker too. Not only have they taken suspensions off the table, it's just big ass fines, right? Which were, if you're suspended, that's a fine too, but whatever. But now the testing window is shrunk, but also the levels for a positive test went way up. So before, it was 35 nanograms of THC in the system, and now it's jumped up to 150. So it's like a 3, almost 4x. Actually, yeah, 4x and change, right? So it hops up to 150. So don't smoke, but if you do smoke, don't smoke a lot. I mean, come on. I mean, this is legit. If you still get popped now with the levels raised, with the time window shrunk, and with the relaxed punishments, like, this is a legit, can you fog up a mirror if you breathe on it IQ test. That really is it. But also with Holton Hill, I mean, performance enhancing drugs policy, like suspensions, are still on the table. They're still pretty steep. They are relaxed a bit, but that's still something to worry about. But again, at this point, if you get popped for weed, that's really on you. Like even more than it was before. Like, players who got popped for weed and suspended, like we said, at least 4 failed tests. I mean, that's That's a you problem, man. Yeah, and the NFL, rightfully so, like some people really do have a problem with weed or other substances of abuse, so they are going more towards a treatment rather than a punishment route, which is good to see. But for the football perspective, just because they took suspensions off the table, I mean, guys that are playing out there for free, that's going to take a toll. Like psychologically, that will take a toll, and that's something that I worry about, especially with cornerbacks who still have to be on an island, still have to have that alpha persona. So we'll see. Also, if imagine if Holton stays clean, is good to go, pans out and all that potential, then signs a big ass contract, and then he gets popped for like 3 games. Like we're talking millions of bucks. That'd be rough. But that is it. Enjoy the day. Your thoughts, let us know in the comments section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. You want to support the work, pull us on the Venmo. Plus give us a follow on social media as well. Until next time. Skol. Production value.